see.
Well, we need 38 additional positions, and we would be able to staff this area and reduce our overcrowding in overcrowded areas.
That's a sin, my God, a sin.
Well, we have submitted, and we're expecting that we might be getting them, and then we'll be able to reduce the overcrowding in certain areas.
There's at least one more horrifying aspect of life at Letchworth. More than 300 able-bodied patients, both physically and mentally able to work outside the institution, are not being allowed to. They're being used to fill the places of the too few employees. They get paid $2 a week for their efforts, about what they'd make each hour on the outside. And there was another development on the day we visited Letchworth. It was 8 days after our investigation had begun. Governor Rockefeller, amidst a growing public outcry over the conditions at Willowbrook, made an announcement. He was restoring the $20 million he had stricken from the budget of the Department of Mental Hygiene. Willowbrook, it was said, would be able to rehire 300 of the 900 employees it had lost since November 1970. Letchworth Village would be able to rehire about 200. But the additional employees, while perhaps slowing the downward course of these two institutions, would not be able to change the basic nature of the two places, mere depositories for the retarded.
You think what we showed on television in the past week is an accurate reflection of the problem, of the situation?
I think it focused and made vivid the problems at Willowbrook.
You think it was an honest portrayal?
I think it was an honest portrayal of the problems at their worst. It may not tell the whole story of Willowbrook, and it certainly doesn't tell the whole story of the retarded, but it does describe unmistakably the kind of problems that we've seen, and now, thanks to the coverage, many people have seen. If the public eye leaves Willowbrook and all of the other places, and we once again find ourselves, we and the directly involved parents, trying to go it alone, then I think we struggle to maintain our few gains, and we struggle slowly to get ahead. And perhaps if you were to come back a year from now and look again, you might see that we'd made headway. I expect you would. But you won't see it all solved in 2 weeks. I wish you would go back in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks, because I think that a window on these conditions, and maybe even allowing to begin to see what not only what is, but what it could be, and even what it is already in some places. So to reinforce the sense of hopefulness and to reestablish in people's minds that we're talking about human beings with potential, I would hope that you would see continued change, and if you didn't see it, that you'd say so.
2 weeks after that interview, I took Dr. Miller up on his invitation to revisit Willowbrook. I found no meaningful change in the quality of life for the 5,230 people who live here. The attendants are trying their best, but the staff is just too small to do anything more than just try and keep the place clean. When there's only one person to take care of 30 or 40, nothing good can possibly happen. No rehabilitation, no training, nothing. The attendants are as much the victim of the conditions here as the patients are. And this visit has revealed the prisons and the hospitals. The way we care for our mentally retarded is the last great disgrace. The story of Willowbrook and of Letchworth Village is a story of degradation. A real-life horror story of lack of attention, of filth, and of children living as animals live in uncivilized, inhuman existence. But our intention is not just to horrify, but also to demonstrate that it doesn't have to be that way. This is Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. It houses the Regional Center for the Mentally Retarded. The director of the program is Dr. Richard Koch. Last month, at the invitation of several parents' groups, he toured the Willowbrook facility.
The conditions that I saw at Willowbrook are somewhat like this. When you enter the building I entered, the smell is so overwhelming, it's almost nauseating. I frankly don't understand how they have people who will work there, to be honest with you. And I think that's the first thing that hits you. Secondly, you find many patients in the same room, all milling about, with nothing to do. Now, I may have seen an unusual situation, but I don't believe so because I saw 3 different buildings. And in those buildings, I did not see any kind of program. I saw men sitting around masturbating. I saw boys and girls lying on the floor, some of them naked. In other words, it just was without program. And I think that is the crucial thing. It's just simply too big. The important thing, though, about the Willowbrook situation, as I see it, is that the system is feeding on itself. In other words, there isn't any alternative for parents that need help. The state is only reaching out its hand primarily with residential care in mind. And what parents want, by and large, are a rich variety of programs, primarily in the community. And the reason we've been able to get an expansion of our program in California, even with Mr. Reagan as governor, is because this program is showing that it has cut the rate of institutionalized retarded persons in California to practically almost in half in just 5 years.
Public pressure can apparently force change in California as well as it does here in New York. They had a system that resembled ours until 1965. That was when a prominent European expert on retardation said something that was widely publicized. After touring the California facilities, he said, "My God, you don't care for your mentally retarded children as well as we in Europe care for our cattle." The remark eventually caused them to dramatically restructure their approach. The heart and soul of the California system is now no longer the large state institutions. It's the regional center. Children's Hospital is one of the 13 centers in the state. Various programs are administered in neighborhoods all over Los Angeles County and the San Fernando Valley from here. Sub-offices provide whatever services a family with a retarded child needs, be it a daycare center, a sheltered workshop, or medical care. The idea is to shift the care and training of the retarded to their own communities. In other words, to help the parents keep their children at home. Education for the retarded in California is as much a right as education for normal children. And they're working toward the development of a public school program for every child, no matter the degree of retardation. This is a developmental center for handicapped minors. All these children are severely or profoundly retarded.
This is an entirely a state-supported program, and it provides tremendous relief to the parent in terms of daycare.
Now, these children would be parallel to the children at Willowbrook, for instance.
Oh, yes. All of these children would be in an institution for the retarded if we didn't have this kind of program for them. Fact is, in years past, I used to recommend institutional care myself for similar children. Now, New York is doing some of this, but here again, we've realized that the community programs should have top priority in terms of state dollars rather than last priority. And I think your priorities are mixed up in New York in terms of serving the retarded. Your top investment is in institutions. Our top investment is in the Department of Education and providing a program for the child while he's at home in terms of daycare. For example, these kids can go to school at age 3 years. So they start at very young, and that helps a great deal for parents. And when parents are actively encouraged to keep their child at home, they do so because they know they can have the help of regional centers or public schools or the health department in terms of services, etc.
For the mild to moderately retarded over school age, the regional center assists in the finding of employment in one of the many sheltered workshops in the area.
In the workshop, you are seeing less severely retarded persons, and the tremendous importance of this is that it gives the retarded persons something to do during the daytime that gives them dignity. And they earn a little money with it, and they do something useful. They become a contributor to society instead of a drag on society.
If you look around and see and just visualize all these people sitting home vegetating, here they are in the stream of life and doing their own thing. They're earning their own way.
Dr. Koch told me time and again that the importance of prevention could not be overemphasized. Families with histories of genetic retardation are counseled not to have more children. And if there's a great probability that a pregnant woman is carrying a retarded child, she's tested. And if the fetus is found brain damaged, the center recommends a therapeutic abortion. The center also runs an extensive program of community education and prenatal care, the lack of which is a prime cause of retardation.
There you are. There you are. That's a good girl.
No, actually, this child has Down syndrome, and she's just as retarded as most of your patients at Willowbrook. And we're helping this family to keep her at home, and the mother's doing a beautiful job on her. Hey, And the important thing is we're also providing genetic counseling to the family. This is an inherited form of Down syndrome. And we have advised the mother that this is true, and frankly have advised them not to have any more of their own children.
How is this child being better serviced by being home rather than being in an institution like Willowbrook?
Well, for example, she has access to one of the finest pediatric facilities in the world right here at Children's Hospital. If she were in a state hospital, she wouldn't have access to this kind of a facility.
How about parental care? Is that making a difference in this child?
Parental care makes a difference in every child, even the very retarded person. If you could get that across to people, that retarded people are more normal than they are abnormal. They have feelings, love, hate, etc., just like normal people. The only thing is they simply don't think as fast as the normal person.
How old is she?
She's 2 years old.
2 years old.
Right.
What would be happening to her if she were in a place like Willowbrook?
Well, frankly, probably nothing.